Happy Monday. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now as we are live here on YouTube. My name is Harrison Graham. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Busy week ahead coming up here on the channel as mandatory minicamp takes place tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So big week for the boys out at Halisol. Then there's one more session of OTAs next week, and then we're done. Well, we're not done. They're done. For a few weeks before training camp gets going in late July. Little programming note, won't be live on Thursday, getting away for a little beach weekend with my wife and son. We will wrap up mandatory minicamp on Thursday or Friday, depending on when practice ends. So TBD on that. If it's Friday, I'll just do it from the hotel we're staying at, but we will still have you guys covered. All right, shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Myself, producer Cullen, ready to hang out here for the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it is. We got a lot to get to, so yeah, I just know Cullen here. He's ready for the NBA Finals, and he's ready to fly Spirit exclusively. So, I don't know if you guys saw the short, but if you're with us on our last live show, toward the end of the show, Cullen casually said, I'm thinking about flying Spirit exclusively, and I had no idea where he was going with this. And how did this all transpire? One of our co-workers challenged our different shows. You want to walk the audience through that process?
Yeah, so basically it was, Chat Sports slip it in. As it were. And basically we were all given a phrase to, at some point when we were live or on camera, try to slip a phrase into the conversation and, keep it as natural and real as possible. So mine was that I was going to fly exclusively Spirit. And, it created some great discourse there for about 10 minutes.
I did not. Yeah, I thought you were being serious. So, it made sense. I was like, it's, single guy trying to save money. I'd be flying. I fly Spirit every once in a while. So, but you're not going. You're not signing exclusively with Spirit.
No, I'm taking a flight here in a couple weeks, and I'm going American. So.
Okay, we're going American there. Absolutely love it. Bear Downs in Houston. We got Southside from Cornelius. Any Nick Chubb news? The only thing I saw was I can't remember who had this. Someone on one of those Cleveland radio stations basically just tripled down that it won't be the Browns. So it feels like a training camp signing somewhere. If an injury pops up, or I still think he's probably on the Bears' radar. They'll probably see how the running back group looks this week at minicamp, but also when the pads go on at training camp. So it feels like he's a guy who will sign in July or August, but we'll see. We'll see if the Bears are in on him or not. So
I think
down to what Roschon and Coleman Shelton look like over the next couple months.
Yeah, if they're going to add a running back, or really, to be honest, any player, it feels like they're going to add one probably closer to the start of the 2025 regular season. So maybe it could be Nick Chubb, maybe it's an edge rusher, maybe it's a different running back, who knows? But
if an injury pops up this week, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Also, by the way, I just want to shout this out. My guy Harry getting a lot of compliments down in the chat. You're looking fresh, my guy. You got the polo, you got a fresh cut.
Yeah, got a new haircut. I didn't really intend to go this short this time, but kind of here for it. It's summer. You got to get that summer cut.
Yeah.
The sun's starting to shine. It's getting hot outside. So, I was like, we're heading to the beach this weekend. Let's go ahead and get a cut. So, appreciate it. And we're getting after it, so should be a fun summer. But we will continue to not a full buzz cut, LaCour, but probably the closest that I've been to a buzz cut in a long time.
I would say that's the shortest I've ever seen.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, it's shorter on the sides and back than on top, but hey, listen, it's we're changing it up. We're changing it up. Speaking of changing it up, the Bears are hoping to change it up in the NFC North. Who is going to win the NFC North? We got some big NFC North news today, Cullen, with Frank Ragnow retiring. That's pretty significant, I think.
Yeah. No, it's really significant. And look, somebody here at Bears Now has been on the Lions' downfall, or at least not complete downfall, but hey.
Regression
train a little bit. So, look, this kind of just adds to it. Frank Ragnow is still one of the best centers in all of football, who obviously just announced his retirement, so I guess no longer one of the best centers in football. And This is coming from a Detroit Lions team that, I mean, we're going to be talking about it today. They've gone through a lot of changes this offseason, whether it's their coaching staff. They've had some starters leave. This is now the newest starter, now not confirmed to be there in 2025 for Detroit. And they've got some question marks that they need answered. I mean, this team was a dominant regular season team last season before ultimately falling to the Commanders in the postseason. Where does this leave them now as, the NFC North, arguably the best division of football? I mean, they've got a tough slate ahead of them.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the Lions potentially regressing and tying the whole NFC North and the Bears into it. I actually just did a video on my other channel, 4 Verts, like, did the Lions miss their Super Bowl window? It kind of sounds crazy, but it's like these windows open and shut pretty quickly for most teams. I mean, not everybody is the Patriots dynasty and the Chiefs right now where it feels like they're in the mix every year until they're not. I could see Detroit winning like 9 or 10 games this year. Like it's no one has had more exits from a coaching and player standpoint than Detroit this offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see how it impacts the division. I mean, if you ask me right now, would I take Detroit or the field in the division? I would take the field. I mean, I think even if Detroit's still the favorite, and they probably are, any of the 4 teams I feel like could win it. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're just looking at these 4 teams on screen, I mean, obviously we just talked about the Lions. They've had the mass exodus. The Vikings, they've made some additions with Jonathan Allen. They brought back Brian Flores, who they could have potentially lost as a head coach candidate. The Bears, as we know, they've added numerous not only coaching hires, but also players, including Drew Dalman, Joe Thuney, players like that, Grady Jarrett, etc. And then no one cares about the Packers. So when you look at this NFC North division, I mean, it's really wide open, right, in terms of who could potentially be the one that comes out on top. And look, I mean, every team has question marks. No team is above, a perfect team by any means, or should be the overwhelming favorite. And I agree, Harry. Like, if you were to put an odds on it, I don't think Detroit's, potentially even the favorite in this division.
Yeah, I mean, I think before this news, they were the betting favorite, but it wasn't like other divisions where, like, there's some more obvious ones. Like, I think all 4 teams have plus odds, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Speaking of the Bears, who's the Bears' best player right now? I think it's, at this moment, between 2 players, but I want to hear what the chat thinks. Bears' best player at this exact moment, who is it? We'll get some shout-outs here. First, I'll read Dennis's super chat. Appreciate that. The 2 there. He says, having a better offensive line than Detroit, not on my bingo card. It's an interesting point because you would still give Detroit the advantage at tackle, certainly. Penei Sewell, probably the best right tackle in football. Taylor Decker, still a really good left tackle. But the Bears' interior on paper is undoubtedly better.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Thuney, Drew Dalman, Jonah Jackson, you could argue they're better at all 3 interior spots, and maybe by a decent margin. So, yeah, I mean, when you add it all up, it's possible. I mean, I guess I would still lean Detroit, but just because I haven't seen it with the Bears, and it's one of those you got to see it to believe it type thing. But on paper, I mean, if Darnell Wright takes a step forward, left tackle is really the only question mark for the Bears, whereas the Lions' entire interior is a question mark.
Yeah, especially at that center spot, who, I mean, we kind of talked about, or you talked about, on 4 Verts earlier. They really don't have like a true center kind of line to step in place.
Sounds like it's going to be Tate Ratledge, the rookie out of Georgia who played exclusively right guard in college. Did not play a single snap at center. That's going from a top 5 center in the league, maybe top 3, to a rookie, unproven rookie at the position. That is a major leap. Like, major. I mean, you're hoping he's 75% of Ragnow. Like, exactly. That's what you're hoping for.
Right.
At least this year. So they're going to take a step back on the interior of that offensive line. The question is it a significant enough step to really cause major problems for Jared Goff, the whole operation? That remains to be seen. So,
agreed.
Ruben Hippolyte. Could you imagine if he was the best player on the team this year? Hippo Hive, stand up.
I mean, that would just be – yeah, you would have to envision him of having the greatest rookie season of all time on the defensive side, potentially, for that to be true.
Nick Grimes says week 1, Thuney, week 18, Caleb. That would be awesome. If by the end of the season we felt like Caleb was the engine to this whole team, that'd be pretty sick. Tremaine Edmonds. I just hope he plays better than he has.
Torrey Taylor. There we go.
Yes. Lacora says Thuney. To me, it's Joe Thuney 1, Jalen Johnson 2. Now, you don't want Joe Thuney to be your best player moving forward because he's 32. He's not going to play forever. But I think at this exact moment, I would lean Thuney. I'd go Jalen 2, probably DJ Moore 3. And then it's kind of open after that. I mean, if Montez Sweat bounces back, he's in that conversation. I mean, if Darnell Wright takes a big step forward, does he enter that conversation? You know, Drew Dalman somewhere in the top 10 probably. So, yeah, it's does Rome Odunze elevate? I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who could enter that discussion this year, obviously including Caleb and Rome, 2 top 10 picks from last year. So,
yeah, I mean, personally, I like Jalen Johnson a lot. I think he would be number 1 for me. I think he's still one of the best cornerbacks in all of football.
No question. He's 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, and you could really flip those. And again, it's splitting hairs. But like you mentioned, I mean, yeah, you probably have DJ 3, and then after that, I mean, like anybody that you for sure. I mean, because Montez Sweat should be in that conversation.
You're paying him to be one of your 3 or 4 best players.
So I mean,
he's got to be at least a top 5 guy for you this
100%.
year.
I mean, God, you're thinking about like Darnell Wright. Like, is he up there? I mean, we'll see.
There's a lot of good players on this team. They need a few of these guys to elevate to great players. We kind of outlined that in the roster breakdown. Like, we had the 2 blue chip guys in Jalen and Thuney. There's a lot of red and a lot of yellow, which are solid starters, really good starters in some cases. But can you get a few guys elevate to that blue chip status? Can Rome Odunze take a big step? Can DJ bounce back, to be frank? Last year was not a great year for him. Can Montez Sweat, get back to what he was 2 seasons ago? So a lot of what ifs, a lot of hypotheticals. I don't think a lot of these are like crazy leaps, though. I mean, I don't think it should be considered a stretch that you expect DJ and Sweat to bounce back. I mean, they have track records in this league. So we'll see. Eric says Brisker breakout season. If he can stay healthy, man, we know how capable he is. That's the big question mark. That's the big question mark.
His health's going to be a real big, obvious concern, right? After missing, 12 games last season. I mean, he really did feel like kind of the heart and soul, especially that secondary, but really of the whole defense. So his energy's infectious out there.
He's an emotional player, no question. He brings the juice. All right, we got a lot to get to. Hit that like button if you love the Bears. We will take your questions, 2 mailbags today, so fire in the chat, super chats, #Bears. Aaron with the super chat, I'll just mention this real quick. Any updates on Ian Wheeler and Billings? Billings was back at practice for the second week of OTAs. I think Wheeler's probably still rehabbing the knee, would be my guess. We'll see if he's out there at mandatory minicamp this week, but we'll have to wait and see. Cornelius, I like that super chat. We will save it for our mailbag, so that is coming up. But hit that like button. Here's what we got coming up on today's show. Are the Lions in big trouble? How does it tie in with the Bears and the NFC North? We'll talk about that. 2 mailbags, #Bears. Ask your question all within the same message, #Bears, then ask your question. Or you could super chat. If you super chat, it's a guarantee to get on the show. And then we are going to preview mandatory minicamp as that gets underway tomorrow. So lots to discuss here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. Are the Detroit Lions in big trouble after a bit of a tumultuous offseason? We will discuss that here on Bears Now. Plus, is this division up for grabs? Can the Bears really enter the conversation this year to win the NFC North? My name is Harrison Graham. We discuss it all here on Chicago Bears Now. Let's get to the news of the week, the day, whenever you're watching this. Frank Ragnow has retired from the National Football League, as he is calling it a career at just 29 years old. And on the outside, certainly a big surprise. Like, I did not see this coming. Now, I don't cover the Lions on a daily basis, so maybe there were whispers of this. He wasn't at OTAs last week, so that raised some eyebrows. And we found out later today that the Lions were aware that this could happen. They were hoping he would play another season, but he is opting not to. I think this is a pretty significant blow for Detroit, because everything they do, all of their success offensively, like, I would say it's been twofold the last few years. It's been Ben Johnson, who's not there anymore. He's now our head coach, the Bears head coach. And it starts up front with the offensive line. I mean, from left to right last year, this is as good as it gets. Philadelphia is probably the only group that's better, because I would say the way Mekhi Becton played last year was better than the way Graham Glasgow played. Glasgow didn't have a great year. But left tackle, very good player in Taylor Decker. Ragnow, one of the best sitters in the league. Zeitler, even at his advanced age, one of the better guards in the league. Penei Sewell, probably the best right tackle, if not the best overall tackle in the NFL. And now that entire interior with 2 exits, and then Glasgow, who did not play well last year, or super well at least, you got questions. I think this O-line could have a big regression, which could lead to a pretty notable regression as a team. Sure, the tackles are still going to be good, but Decker's getting up there on the left side. The Lions and the Bears are kind of polar opposites on what happened to their interior this offseason, at least on paper. We got to see it play out. Bears beefed theirs up with Joe Thuney, Drew Dalman, Jonah Jackson. Lions lost 2/3 of their interior, and the guy that's still there was easily the worst of the 3 in Graham Glasgow. But with Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler leaving, that leaves vacancies. And you got 4 guys to take 3 jobs, basically. Glasgow, I would expect, is one of the starting guards. Christian Mahogany, a second-year guard. I liked him coming out of Boston College, but he hasn't played yet in the NFL. We'll see what that looks like. Tate Ratledge, who's a rookie, and Miles Frazier, who's a rookie, out of Georgia and LSU, respectively. I think center is a pretty big question mark, because none of those 4 guys have experience, at least extensive experience, playing center. During the first week of OTAs, Tate Ratledge was getting the bulk of the first-team reps at centers, according to reports, so maybe they feel like he's the answer. And even if he can make that transition and do it pretty well, there's almost no chance he's as good as Frank Ragnow, at least right away. Like, if you're Detroit, you're probably hoping he's 75% of Frank Ragnow. Hoping. There's a chance it's just a disaster. Like, he can't snap. He can't set the protections. Who knows? Anytime you make a position switch to center, we've seen the Bears try to do it multiple times. It usually does not work that well. Now, again, they must feel pretty good about it. Regardless, this is a big change. Like, Frank Ragnow to whoever it is going to be a drop-off. And even if it's close to the same level of play, it's still a new guy that Jared Goff has to play behind, right? Like, that center-quarterback connection, which is why I have just been screaming for years to the Bears, get a stable center, someone that the quarterback can grow with, because this constant cycling in different guys year in and year out, it's hard to build continuity that way. Well, now Detroit's having to start over at that position. They don't really have a clear answer of who they're going to start over with. So it's been a tough go for Detroit. And listen, when you're a good team and you start paying guys and, coaches start to get poached, like, it's a good thing overall. It means you got a good thing rolling, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been a tough 6 months. That doesn't mean that there's reason to be somewhat skeptical is if Detroit can kind of keep this train rolling, right? I mean, they get blown out at home to the Commanders, and since then, it has just not been great. Ben Johnson comes to the Bears. We're fired up about that. Aaron Glenn leaves for the Jets, so they lose both their coordinators. They lose 6 more assistant coaches, including a couple to Chicago, J.T. Barrett and Antoine Randall. And they lose 4 key starters now and several other contributors. But just focusing on the starters, Carlton Davis, who signed with the Patriots, Za'Darius Smith, who got cut, Kevin Zeitler, who signed with Tennessee, betting they wish they brought him back, or tried to at least, and then Frank Ragnow just retired. And other than signing DJ Reed, who should mostly replace Davis, they haven't really replaced the other guys. They drafted a couple interior rookies, but I don't know if that's a high enough level of replacement. And they cut Za'Darius Smith. And oh, by the way, Aiden Hutchinson coming off a major injury. So that pass rush has major questions. We're about to find out just how good Jared Goff and Dan Campbell are. We're about to find that out because, listen, I've appreciated what that duo's been able to do. But they've had a lot of help, man. Ben Johnson has been the best offensive coordinator that wasn't a head coach in the NFL for 3 years running. Can Detroit replace that, even 85% of that? That's going to be tough. That offensive line the last couple of years has been one of the best in the league. Now the interior has huge question marks. Their defense, led by Aaron Glenn, has had some question marks roster-wise. And Aaron Glenn, say what you want about him as an X's and O's DC, he was like a second head coach for Dan Campbell. He leaned on him heavily to lead meetings, to be a leader on that football team. Doesn't have that guy anymore. That's, we've heralded Dan Campbell. We've said Jared Goff is, elevated himself to this elite status. We're about to find out if that's true or not, because you have a mass exodus like this, it is not easy. And if you're a Bears fan, or hell, a Vikings or a Packers fan, you got to be thinking, hey, yeah, the Lions have owned this division the last couple of years. It's up for grabs. That's what I'm thinking if I'm a Chicago Bears fan, and as a Chicago Bears fan and content creator. So why not us? Well, we'll get into why not us here in just a few moments. I want to hear from you guys first. Who will win the NFC North? Type CHI for the Chicago Bears. Type FGB for the Green Bay Packers. DET for the Detroit Lions. Or MIN for the Minnesota Vikings. Get your votes in down in the comment section below. Get your Caleb Williams jerseys today at chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. $100, that's all. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. Go ahead and click and shop today. That link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Okay. Before we get into why I think the Bears should at least feel like they can make a push for this division, doesn't this division feel wide open right now? Doesn't it? Like the Lions, we just talked about their exodus. The Packers feel in a weird spot. Like, Matt LaFleur's having to go public defending Jordan Love. He didn't regress last year. Well, he didn't improve either. You got that going on. Minnesota, yeah, I love their roster, but going to J.J. McCarthy, that's a question mark. We have no idea what that's going to look like. So I feel like if you're the Bears, you've improved on paper more than anyone in this division, starting with the coaching staff. Why not us? Why not the Chicago Bears? I'm going to dive into why I think the Bears should feel like they can win the NFC North this year. Now, this is not an official, I'm picking them to win the NFC North, but these are some reasons to why Bears fans should at least feel like it's a possibility. Number one, and I think this is easily the most important, is the coaching staff improvements. Ben Johnson's ever been a head coach. If he is worse than Matt Eberflus, let's just give up. I mean, just on just being different coaches, regardless of who they are, should improve the team. But I think specifically with the coaches they brought in, should vastly improve the team. Yeah, anytime it's a first-year head coach, you don't know how it's going to go. I feel pretty confident offensively this team will be competent moving forward with Ben Johnson. He's got Dennis Allen, a seasoned defensive coordinator who's been a head coach twice. He's failed. He's had success. He's seen different things. He doesn't have to worry about that side of the ball. Ben Johnson does. Dennis Allen has that under control. A lot of high-quality assistant coaches, Eric Bieniemy, Antoine Randall. There's been rave reviews out of Declan Doyle so far. That's been a positive. Veteran linebackers and senior defensive line coach as well. I just think the coaching is going to be good. And even if it's not great, it's been bad the last couple of years. So that is a notable improvement. You should win multiple games that you've lost in previous years on coaching alone. The interior offensive line, which we have detailed pretty well, is a complete overhaul. Whereas Detroit, for example, has gone the other way. It's a complete unknown with how that's going to look. Look at the upgrades across the board. Left guard, Teven Jenkins, nice player, but he played about half the snaps, 60% of the snaps last year. Backups had to get in there. And even if he played all the snaps, he is not Joe Thuney. Clear upgrade. Center, Coleman Shelton. It's better than what they had in previous years, but still not great. There's a reason he signed to be a backup with the Rams. You go from him to Drew Dalman, at worst, I don't know, top 10-ish guy in the NFL. Maybe Elvis top 5. We'll see. But a very good center in the NFL. Right guard, Nate Davis / Matt Pryor. I gave Matt Pryor a lot of props last year. What he did, his versatility to go in there and play at a solid level, kudos. Jonah Jackson at minimum should be an upgrade, and at maximum could be a big upgrade if he can get back to staying healthy and what he was a couple of years ago. You are better across the board on paper. Now, we haven't seen them play together. They got to gel, do all that stuff. I understand, but I feel pretty confident with the coaching and with these players and what they've accomplished in the NFL that interior is going to be much, much better than what it was last season. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We have off-season coverage every single day here on Chicago Bears Now. Minicamp ongoing, mandatory minicamp, OTAs, one more session to go. We take your questions, do these live mailbags, so be sure to join us for all of our off-season content. Number 3, you brought in more explosive playmakers. Now, we'll see how the two rooks factor in. Both are banged up right now, which obviously isn't great, and Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, but they elevate the talent of those two position groups and just the talent of your offensive arsenal. and Olamide Zaccheaus, who I think is probably the best wide receiver 4 in the league and can be a more than capable wide receiver 3. Your only notable loss is Keenan Allen, nice player, but not exactly explosive. Probably not the most ideal fit for what Ben Johnson wants. He doesn't give you much after the catch. All 3 of those other players do. DJ Moore does. He'll fit into this offense well. Rome Odunze can do that. He's also a polished route runner, so you feel pretty good about the weapons on the outside. Key veteran leaders added. 2 of them. We already talked about one in Joe Thuney. But I think he's going to be huge for that offensive line room, not only with what he provides on the field, but just he's been there, he's done that, he knows the standard. Like he played under Bill Belichick, he blocked for Tom Brady, he played under Andy Reid, he blocked for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the value he can bring to a first-time head coach and Ben Johnson into a young quarterback trying to make his way in this league and Caleb Williams, I don't think you can measure it. And then Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is past his prime. He is not going to be an all-pro. But he'll be solid on the field, and he's going to be huge for the young defensive lineman and just for the entire team. The guy's been through some shit. You know, he was a part of a team that blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. Like, he has faced a lot of adversity. He's won a lot, and at times in the last few years, they haven't won a ton. But he is battle-tested. They haven't had vets like this on this team in the Ryan Poles era. Now they do. And then just the questions with the rest of the division. We did a full detail of Detroit the first half of this video, most notably the coaching exits. I don't know if any other team lost 8 coaches on their coaching staff, including both their coordinators. Is J.J. McCarthy ready? That's one of the biggest questions in the NFL, much less the NFC North. Will Jordan Love take that next step? You know, I'll give Matt LaFleur the benefit of the doubt. He's like, oh, he didn't take a step back. What do you mean by regress? Well, he didn't take a step forward. I think at minimum that is fair to say, and they paid him to take steps forward. So big year for him in Green Bay. And for the Bears, could Caleb bring us that year 2 breakout? Like, can he take a big step and establish himself as a high-level starting quarterback in this league? So all teams have question marks. All teams have potential to be 12, 13-win teams. And, you know, you could look back at all these things and be like, yeah, that was a disappointing 8-9. That's on the board as well. So I think it's going to make for a fun division. I think Bears fans should be fired up and feel like they can win a lot of these games that they're going to be in this year. And why not us? Why not us? I think the Bears got a very, very good chance to make some big-time noise this year. What is your confidence level in this team this season? Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not confident at all, 10 being extremely confident. I feel the vibes right now. I'm going to go 7, man. I feel pretty good. I think at minimum this team will compete for a wild card, and why not the division? I've all offseason kind of operated, it's still going to be Detroit. Is it? They've lost a lot. They just lost a key cog to what makes that offense go. I think this thing is wide open. All right, appreciate everybody who made it to the end of the video here on Chicago Bears Now. That makes you a real one. If you made it to the end of the video and have not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to do so because we publish content every single day. Bear down. All right.
Adam, we saw your donation as well. We're going to include that in the mailbag as well. So,
appreciate you guys.
We got Matt Eberflus saying -0. He also put Dallas for who's going to win the NFC North earlier, so shout out to you.
All right, we'll see Flus week 3, baby.
There we go. Philip saying 6. Tim saying 7.5. Brandy saying 8. Sean saying 7. LJ says 9 at worst. I love the confidence there. LaCour saying 6 to 10. Matt Eberflus, I don't even give my kids timeouts. Why would I give them to the refs? That's a good one. That's
good stuff.
Lefty says 7. DC says 8. Cannibal the Dragon says 6. Jerry says 8. Zapper says 10. Says I can't wait. To be honest, like this is going to be one of the more seasons that I really can't wait until we get to week 1 for Chicago.
As much as I'm excited for summer, family time, all that. And don't get me wrong, I am. Like I'm not saying I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm already getting the itch for football. I'm not full Tyrone Biggums yet, but once we get to like early July, I'm gonna be like, we gotta get to training camp. I mean, this is just I need football back in my life. So it's gonna be a fun year. I can't wait for it. Hopefully the Bears don't let us down, man. Hopefully the Bears don't let us down. So It's going to be fun. It's going to be stressful, but it's going to be fun. All right, hashtag Bears Super Chat. Get your question answered here on the show. If you use the hashtag Bears, it's got to be hashtag Bears, all one word, and then within that same message, write your question in the chat, just like Lacora just did. If you Super Chat, you don't have to worry about hashtag Bears. We can filter through those as well. But if you just do a normal comment, it's got to have hashtag Bears on it. Otherwise, we cannot put it on the show with our software. So let's make it happen. And 2 mailbags today. So if you got multiple questions, fire away. We'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. We get a few more in there, then we'll jump into this first mailbag. We will also hop into a little mandatory minicamp preview coming up here in 12, 15 minutes or so. I'll take a look at kind of my top 5 storylines to watch as we'll have full media access the next 3 days, which is so annoying, Cullen, during OTAs because it just paints an incomplete picture with what's going on. So should have at least a better understanding of where the Bears are at as they, get closer to breaking off before training camp. So we'll see what it looks like this week.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's just, building the suspense, right? Like, who needs people to do their jobs? Let's create the intrigue.
Yeah, exactly.
The NFL stays king for a reason.
Oh, man.
All right, I think we're getting some good questions, so.
All right, let's do it. Keep firing away, hashtag Bears Super Chat, and it's time to answer some mailbag questions here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. It's time for another Bears Now mailbag. Odunze season. Is Tyler Scott in serious danger of getting cut? I think he's in danger. I don't think by any means he's viewed as safe by certainly me or that Bears coaching staff, because I think we'd all be pretty surprised if the top 4 here were not on the team. Now, Zacchaeus isn't making that much money. If he legitimately gets beat out, he could certainly get cut. But DJ Moore isn't going anywhere. Odunze isn't going anywhere. Luther Burden just got drafted. They're all 3 locks, barring an injury, which would clear up a roster spot. Zacchaeus I would put as a soft lock. And to me, that probably leaves 2 spots. I would guess they carry 6 receivers. Most teams carry 6 now. And, Devin Duvernay, I would probably have him ahead of Tyler Scott right now because he's your leading front runner to be your punt and kick returner. And then Miles Boykins made some plays at OTAs. Jade Walker had a couple of nice plays at OTAs. J.P. Richardson is an intriguing UDFA. I mean, I'd have Tyler Scott ahead of those 2, but is he ahead of Miles Boykin? Is he ahead of Devin Duvernay? I don't know. I feel like 4 or 5 guys are going to compete for 2 spots, and Tyler Scott's in that mix. I think he's firmly on the bubble. If you ask me today, what do you think's more likely? He's on the team, he's not. I guess I would say he makes the team, but it feels 50-50 to me. I think he's going to have to show a lot. Now, he's got some explosiveness to his game. I think in theory he should give you some juice after the catch. So I think stylistically he could be a weapon for what Ben Johnson likes to do, but you got to go out there and earn it. So we'll see if he's able to do that or not. If you had to predict, will Tyler Scott make the Bears 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, he will, or type N for no, he will not. Cornelius, hot take. Dominique Robinson will make the team in 4 sacks. That is a hot take. I don't know if it's scorching hot that he'll make the team because you're not that deep at defensive end right now. I mean, you could make a not crazy argument and say there's a world where he's your 3rd defensive end, right? I mean, Montez Sweat and Dio Dengbo are your top 2. I think last year Daniel Hardy was better than him, but he mostly played on special teams. I'm more intrigued with Austin Booker, but it's not like Hardy and Booker are just these established players. Could Dom Robb have a huge training camp and preseason and be the 3rd guy? I'd bet against it, but it's not impossible if the Bears don't make an addition. Even if he's not the 3rd, he could certainly be the 4th. So I don't think it's a hot take that he'd make the team, but I think 4 sacks, that would be a pretty big hot take. But hell, if you told me today, hey, take it or leave it, he makes the team and is going to give you 4 sacks, sign me up. That would be, a pretty pleasant surprise in terms of what he would bring to the table. Another super chat from Adam. Appreciate the 5. He says, if Brisker stays healthy this season, do we start wondering if he just decided he wasn't playing for Eberfunk anymore? I don't think that's who Jaquan Brisker is. I don't think he told the Bears, I refuse to play for him. If he did, I think they would have cut him. I don't think a third-year player is going to sit there and say, I'm not playing for him anymore, and they're just going to keep him around. A, I don't think he'd do that. B, I don't think the Bears would stand for that. Now, are there still some suspicious nature to that concussion? Like, was he truly not cleared for that long, or was there some kind of like mutual understanding that, yeah, maybe he got cleared after 5 or 6 weeks, but the season was lost, so they held it? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get down to the bottom of that completely, but he's had a healthy offseason. He had a nice interception the other day at OTAs, so I don't know. That's one of those mysterious things that we may not have the full answer to. But regardless, he has had multiple concussions. He's been nicked up. It is still a concern. Like, even if he has a healthy year this year, that does not mean he all of a sudden just never had injury problems like he has. That's just the bottom line. Okay, today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. Do you know ball? Well, there's only one series left in the playoffs, and the championship is officially on the line. That means time is running out for you to put your final takes to the test with PrizePicks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. And listen, we got a special deal right now. You can win up to 2,000x your lineup right now, your entry. So what does that mean? If you do a $10 lineup, certain ones can turn into $20,000. That's right. Take advantage. Just pick more or less on your PrizePicks lineups and cash in. It's very, very simple. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started today. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're going to take the more on his points, rebounds, and assists for game one there. Tyrese Halliburton going to take the less on his, and then Pascal Siakam more on his points. Siakam's been absolutely fantastic in these playoffs. 10 to win 50 on this 3-player lineup, but again, certain lineups, 2,000x your money. Check it out today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you sign up and play for just $5. Just $5. Fire off that first entry. It doesn't matter if you win or lose it. You're going to get that additional 50 for free. Link is in the comments and description. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. Tim Griffin, does Rome go for 1,000 yards this year? I think he does. I think Rome takes a big step. He's just too gifted of a player. I mean, at times last year, it felt like he had some rookie moments, like him and Caleb weren't on the same page with some of the routes, and I think some of the minor details weren't there. He still had 50 catches and over 700 yards and a bad offense when things weren't always on the same page. I don't think it's unreasonable to think he can have a jump to 1,000. I think that's very much in play. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he's your number one receiver by the end of this year. You certainly drafted him to become that over time. So I will say yes, he is a 1,000-yard guy this year. I think that happens. All right, Kiddis, what do you think is the likelihood that we still add another running back, or do you think the room is set? I'm going to say 60% they do, 40% they don't. I don't think it's a lock that they'll add somebody, but I just think that when you look at this, DeAndre Swift is what I would call an average starter. He's a good NFL running back. He's probably, I don't know, is he the 25th best running back in the league, which is still solid. It's still a starter, but he's a bottom 10 starter, which a lot of good backs in the league. It just is what it is. But more than that, the depth behind him, there's some intriguing pieces, but you don't know for sure if you have like a guy you really like to complement Swift as like in a true 1-2 punch, right? Because in today's NFL, the way you build your running back room is you do one of two things. You either get your bell cow, like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, whoever. There's about 6 or 7 of them. Or you do it by committee, typically 1-2 punch, and then small contributions from a third guy. Well, if Swift is your starter, you have to have a 1-2 punch. Do you have that too in the 1-2 punch? Is Roschon Johnson that? Is Kyle Monungai that? I don't think Travis Homer's that. I don't think Ian Wheeler's that. I mean, I'm intrigued by Wheeler, but he's coming off a torn ACL. So I still think 60% yes, because I think there's too big of questions with Roschon and Kyle Monangai at this point. But that's what training camp is for, right? I think they'll take the first few weeks, probably the first preseason game or two. How does Monangai look like with the pads on? He's probably not really built to excel in T-shirts and shorts. So time will tell. I would guess they still add somebody, but I don't think it's a done deal by any means. We will have coverage throughout OTAs, minicamp, and a whole lot more here on Chicago Bears Now. So turn on those notifications after you subscribe to the channel and do not miss a thing. LaCora, is there any chance that Luther Burden III can be a wide receiver 1 in the next year? Thoughts? It's possible. Would I bet on it? Probably not, because right now he's, wide receiver 3 or even 4 since he's missed time. I mean, he's not just going to be given a job over Olamide Zaccheaus. We know he's a lock to make the team, and talent-wise, he's your third guy right now. But, I think his skill set fits this offense well. I think he's got all the talent in the world. He's just got to get healthy and go out there and do it. Would I bet on him being the number 1 going into next year? No, I would not. But is it completely impossible? No, I could see it happening. Eric, Trapilo still left tackle 1 when Jones comes back? ? Kiran fighting for a spot anywhere. Kiran's going to be on this team. He's third-round pick last year. He would have to just completely be an embarrassment to not at least make the team. I am intrigued. If Trapilo is clearly better than him, I am intrigued. Do they work in Kiran at guard, get him some reps there to increase his value where he's not just, a swing tackle, but he can play some guard for you if needed as well? Because, look, Jonah Jackson's been a little banged up the last couple of years. You might need a guy to emerge to step in and play at guard. Maybe Amegadjie could be that. In terms of still LT1, well, we don't even know if he's left tackle 1 as of filming this mailbag on Monday. We might have a clearer picture after mandatory minicamp, but we won't really know for sure until training camp gets here. But I do think we'll have an idea if he's ahead of Amegadjie or not, because both guys got reps at the ones during the first 2 weeks of OTAs. All right, who is the Bears' best player right now? Right now, not who's it going to be in 5 years or who's it going to be in the future. Who is the best player on this team? The second, I would say Joe Thuney 1, Jalen Johnson 2, but what say you? All right, Adam Morrow, if Caleb breaks out, I think we could potentially win 12 to 14 games with this coaching staff. Look, if Caleb breaks out and is a true top 10 quarterback in this league, they're going to be in a lot of games because the defense at worst is going to be solid. You got playmakers everywhere. They're going to be tough to beat. The coaching staff's going to be good, I think. 14 is a lot of wins. It's a tough schedule on paper, but could they go 12-5? I don't think it's impossible. I picked them to go 11-6. So, yeah, if your quarterback's a true top 10 guy this year, I'd be shocked if this wasn't at least a playoff team. That's for sure. All right, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Jimothy, do you think it will become more common for players to retire at an earlier age? You've seen it some in recent years. I think sometimes we overreact when it happens. The reality is you see it like once or twice a year, a guy sub-30 who's still a good player that retires. It's not like, a dozen players are doing it a year, right? I do think there's going to be a slight uptick because these players, they're well aware of the risks. Like the concussion data came out from all those guys in the 70s and 80s and all that, CTE. So yeah, certain guys are going to do it, right? They're going to play out the rookie contract, maybe do one more contract and, call it a career. And instead of making $100 million in their career, they'll settle for 50, right? Occasionally you might get the, who was the kid a few years ago? He played 1 year in the league and then he retired, even though he was like a third-round pick. Was that Borland, I think was his name? Yeah, for the 49ers. That'll happen from time to time. But I don't think it's going to become like an epidemic. These guys are well versed in the risks in college, in high school now. So, I think you'll see it a little bit, but I don't think 10 years from now we're going to be like, God, no one's playing into their 30s. I'd be surprised. Johnny VP, am I the only one who feels we don't need another running back? Swift almost got 1,000 yards behind a shitty O-line. Every back we have is going to look much better. Yeah, I do think this group will look better just because the line will be better. But I don't think Swift is all of a sudden going to have elite vision. Now, if he has wider holes to run through, that just makes the job easier. And I've said, I think Swift is a good player, and I think he'll be a good player in this offense. Roschon Johnson, in theory, should bring a physical nature to his game, but he's also had concussion issues. So I agree that the room should just play better because of the offensive line, but if there's a guy out there that can elevate the talent of the room, I mean, I don't think they should rule that out either. Appreciate all the questions. You can find me on social media at HGramNFL, both on Twitter and Instagram. DMs are wide open if you want to hit me up over there. I got to catch up on some IG DMs, but I will do that in the next week or so. So fire away if you have any more questions. All righty.
Some good questions. We have another mailbag coming up at the end of the show, so if you guys didn't get into that last mailbag, still hit the hashtag Bears with a question for Harry to answer.
Yeah, fire away. Fire away.
Yeah, let us know. We got TJ. I'll put up your super chat whenever it loads here in a second. He says, if you don't mind me asking, do you think Illinois has a real shot at the top 12 this year? I have seen them ranked as high as 11th way too early.
Sorry, say that again.
He says, if you don't mind me asking, do you think Illinois has a real shot at the top 12 this year? I have seen them ranked as high as 11 way too early.
Yeah, college football. Keeping Altmaier was huge. Some SEC schools came calling. I think Tennessee was pretty clearly one of those after the Nico Iamaleava. He's one of the better college quarterbacks this year. Listen, that goes a long way in college football. Not even if you have an NFL talent quarterback, but if you just have a really good college quarterback, that like your floor is like 7 wins. So if you assume they're already a 7-win team, how can you get to 10? That's really the key. I mean, last year they went 9-3. If they go 10-2, they're probably a playoff team. If you're a 10-win team in the SEC or the Big Ten, you're pretty much a lock. So just pulling up Illinois' football schedule. Let's see. So they're at Duke in the non-con, so you can't afford to slip up there. Got to take care of business there. That's really their only non-conference test. At Indiana, late September, that's going to be a challenge. They got the Mendoza kid from Cal, who people are high on at quarterback. Get USC at home, at Purdue, Ohio State at home. Could you pull off an upset there? At Washington, Rutgers at home, Illinois at home, at Wisconsin, Northwestern. It's not a brutal schedule. Let's say you lose to Ohio State and you lose to one of, at Indiana, at Washington. If you run the table from there, you're probably in the playoff. You're at Wisconsin in late November. That could be challenging, but they got a much better quarterback than what Wisconsin has. So I feel like this is a reasonable schedule. Your toughest game is at home with Ohio State. That gives you a puncher's chance. USC's at home. Indiana on the road. That's one of your tougher games. Get through the Duke game non-con. You'll start 3-0 because your other two non-cons are Western Illinois, Western Michigan at home. Start 3-0. You're probably top 20 when you go. That could be a top 25 matchup at Indiana September 20th. If they could win that game, they'll probably start 6-0 because I think they'll be better than USC. So that'd be 5-0. Then they're at Purdue, who was horrible last year, 6-0. 6-0 when the Buckeyes come to town. Listen, that's kind of just a let it. That's kind of like Indiana's game against Ohio State last year. It's kind of just a let it rip game.
Yeah.
If you win, awesome. If you don't, you're still in a good position.
So, exactly.
Brett Bielema's done a hell of a job there, man.
He really has.
He's done a really good job. So I'm in on the Illini this year. I think they got a shot to be a playoff team. I think they could be kind of like Indiana last year, but a little better. Like, I don't think they're a national title contender, but like, could they get into the playoff and win a game if they got the right matchup? I think that's possible. Because they'll be a little bit more explosive offensively.
Coach with a better head on his shoulders.
Yeah, Cignetti's not going to be punting down 20 in the fourth, or Bielema's not going to punt down 20 in the fourth quarter like Kurt Cignetti. I still can't believe the way he coached that game.
Yeah, it was a really big choke, man.
That was tough.
Especially the talking that he did beforehand. I mean, it was.
Who cares if you lose by 30 or lose by 16?
Yeah, a loss is a loss.
Yeah, your style points are out the window, buddy. This is the playoff.
Yeah. All right, Cornelius, we'll throw that up on the chat. Yeah, to be honest, like my whole viewing of Indiana since his comments have just been in the negative. Now, granted, they'll have some talented players.
I like the Mendoza transfer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if they could be a threat again this year, I'll be like, okay, I'll kind of back off my Cignetti pushback. But yeah, I don't know. That rubbed me the wrong way last year.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We did that game live on 4 Verts.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a fun time.
It was fun. It was crazy early. Remember kind of the wonkiness early in that game?
Oh yeah, like the because Notre Dame
there was
scored
a blocked
on
punt.
Yes. Notre Dame scored on like a 90-yard
Love
touchdown.
had like a 90-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
Future Bear, Jeremiah Love.
Maybe.
Just thought it out there. Cornelius, NBA Finals predictions. Do you feel comfortable making a prediction with it being your team, or are you not trying to jinx it?
Well,
Colin's a Thunder fan, for those who don't know.
Here's the thing. I know that we're going to have a short, more than likely, made on, what's your finals prediction, so I'm still mulling it over.
You're obviously picking the Thunder. The question is how many games.
Exactly.
I will say this. I don't think they sweep.
That's fair.
I don't think
that would be pretty bold to say in an NBA Finals that they sweep.
They're a massive
They are a massive favorite,
right?
but I mean, a sweep's a sweep. I mean,
minus 750? That's kind of crazy. I like the Thunder in either 5 or 6.
We'll see. Y'all know who I'm probably rocking with, but yeah. I'm still kind of...
I will say this. I don't think it's quite to this level, and I'm not trying to freak you out here. I am getting some Mavs Heat 2011 vibes.
Yeah.
Where literally no one's going to pick Indiana.
that Indiana might win because no one picks it.
I don't think they'll win. I think that Dallas team... Dallas had Dirk, a true superstar. I don't think Indiana has that level of a superstar. So, again, I wouldn't... But, Carlisle's the coach. He can kind of bridge the gap on talent deficiencies with his offensive, creativity. I guess I'm just saying, I wouldn't be shocked if it was, 2-2 after 4. I could see Indiana applying pressure here that most people don't expect. Now, I'm not picking them to win. I think it's Thunder in 5 or 6. But I do think Indiana, embraces this underdog mentality like that Dallas team did. So, and I think OKC is kind of like that the last few years, and now they can't play that role. It's everybody is picking them. So,
no, yeah, they're definitely not the underdog by any means. I will say, again, a lot of numbers favor OKC. Obviously, have the highest point differential in NBA history, even more than the 95 or not the 96 Bulls.
If they finish this off, it's one of the 5 best individual teams ever, at least with how they performed.
Yeah,
I don't know from a raw talent standpoint, but in terms of how much they won.
It's already reached 80 wins compared to not even 20 losses yet. So it's pretty crazy, man. All right, we'll get Tedros on screen and then we can get into this. But yeah, I'm still mulling it over. But I will be.
Colin's going to at least one game.
Well, at least one. Yeah.
Is there a chance you'd go to 2?
We'll see.
If it got to a game 7?
If it got to a game 7, I might have to empty the bank.
Yeah.
I might have to empty the bank. If it got to a game 7, I might have to empty the bank. We'll see.
Oh, man.
It's funny. I get back from my trip, right as game 5 is starting. So
okay. So game 5's not a possibility, really?
No. Unless somehow,
if they were up 3-1, that'd be a sick one to go to because you could be there for the closeout.
Yeah, it would be.
All right, Tedros real quick, and then #Bear Super Chat. We'll get to another mailbag in about 15 minutes. He says, what week do you expect the offense to gel, to click? I hate putting, in this case, I will. So the Bears have a rare early bye week. They have 4 games, then the bye week. I think post-bye, they should hit their stride. If they can get through their first 4 games without, major hiccups and you see, the potential, but it's probably a little choppy at times. Minnesota, Detroit, Dallas, at Las Vegas, at least go 2-2 there. Maybe 3-1. And then you got the bye and the extra day before you play Monday Night Football against the Commanders. If you can win that game, you could really kind of open things up because then you have the Saints. So, yeah, I think coming out of that bye week, they should start to gel a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see because they open up the season with 2 divisional opponents. Obviously, one being J.J. McCarthy and that whole new thing they got going on in Minnesota, and then obviously Detroit.
Not exactly easing into the season here.
No, but it could be a chance for Ben Johnson to kind of make a statement. Like, first week, it's like, all right, Kevin O'Connell, like, everyone raves about how good of an offensive mind he is. Like, Ben Johnson might have a little chip on his shoulder, say, hey, I was the offensive mind behind Detroit's success over the last couple of years, and then obviously with Detroit, like, maybe a little animosity.
He will pull out a trick play in that week 2 game.
100%.
That is a guarantee.
Yes.
I don't know if he'll do it out of the gates week 1, but week 2 at Detroit, especially if they're 1-0, they will absolutely try some kind of trickery.
I would agree.
And we'll see if it works.
We shall see.
All right. Mandatory minicamp starts tomorrow, and it is time to break it down. Top 5 storylines coming up for mandatory minicamp. I'm Harrison Graham. Bears mandatory minicamp is here as we will have full media access Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday out at Hallis Hall. I'm going to dive into the top storylines heading into mandatory minicamp, things I'm keeping an eye on this week. If you want full coverage all week long, if you want daily videos throughout the offseason, hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on 124,000 subscribers here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. If you want to help us get there, if you are a diehard Bears fan and have yet to subscribe, be sure to do so. It's 100% free. Okay, let's get to some minicamp storylines. I think the thing I'm most intrigued about, I mean, obviously we all want to hear about Caleb and everything. We'll get to that. But the left tackle position, how do the reps stack up? Who gets the first crack at it on Thursday? Who gets more reps overall throughout the 3 practices? Obviously, Braxton Jones is injured, but I still think it's safe to say this is a 3-man competition once training camp gets here. But who has the leg up out of Ozzy Trapilo and Kiran Amegadjie after this week? And I'll say this, if Trapilo already surpasses Amegadjie heading into training camp, it does kind of leave a question about what Amegadjie's future looks like. Do you keep him at tackle and keep developing him there? Do you try him at guard? Do you kind of try him at multiple spots? I mean, I would probably mix and match and try to create as much value for him as possible. Can he just be kind of like a Matt Pryor type where he could be a backup tackle and guard? Who knows? But we outlined on a video over the weekend, I think the Bears would like Ozzy Trapilo to emerge here, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But we've seen both guys get reps with the ones. Amegadjie during the first week of OTAs and the practice open to the media, he was working with the ones. And the second week, it was Trapilo. Is there a lot to read into that? Ben Johnson says they're moving guys around right now, but they can't really be that stealthy this week because unlike OTAs, the media will be at all 3 practices this week. So even though jobs aren't being won this time of year, like Ben Johnson said, we can at least kind of get an indication of where things sit before the boys break off for about 6 weeks before training camp. And listen, that left tackle spot is the only question. We know who the left guard is going to be. It's Joe Thuney. We know Drew Dalman's the center. We know Jonah Jackson's the right guard. And we know Darnell Wright's the right tackle, barring an emergency, and they have to kick him to left tackle. So who is going to be that left tackle? I think it's Braxton Jones' job until someone takes it. But, a strong week from one of Trapilo or Amegadjie this week could kind of be that start to taking that job from Braxton Jones. Okay, number 2. Is Caleb Williams progressing? I'm not going to overreact too harshly this week to Caleb one way or the other because you're still in the install phase here. You're still, designing plays for this offense, practicing those, the verbiage of these plays, like just kind of the basics, like that's still ongoing here. So I'm going to try not to overreact one way or the other. Sound like it was a mixed bag at OTAs, which is what to be expected. But 3 straight practices, right? Again, you get a clearer picture here of where things stand for players and for units. Are 2 out of the 3 days good? Are all 3 good? Are all 3 bad? Like, I just think we'll have a better indication of how far along he is in this offense. Again, he could light it up this week. I'm not going to declare him the MVP of the league. He could look terrible. I'm not going to freak out and act like he can't play and isn't going to figure this thing out. But it would be nice to build some momentum here heading into the summer before they come back for training camp. Now, there's one more session of OTAs next week, but these 3 days are really the most important days before training camp. So let's see if we hear some positive reporting coming out of Halisall this week that Caleb, the offense, things are clicking. Hopefully that happens. Speaking of the quarterback, speaking of Caleb Williams, if you want to get his jersey for just $100, this Navy one right here, you could do so. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. You can click that link in the comments and description of this video, chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. Check it out today. Represent QB1 for only $100. What is the running back pecking order, especially after DeAndre Swift? Like, we all know Swift is the starter based on who they have, but is it Roschon Johnson? Is he the next man up? Does Kyle Monungai take a step forward and kind of enter that conversation? Is Ian Wheeler out there? I don't know if he is. I think he's still rehabbing that ACL. But really, Roschon and Monungai are who I'm keeping an eye on. Now, in the drills, the clips we've seen from OTAs, the order has been Swift 1, Roschon 2, Homer 3, Monungai 4, then Hankins, the UDFA 5. Wheeler hasn't been out there. I don't know if that's just coincidence or if that's the pecking order right now, but it does sound like Roschon is in a good position. Albert Breer reported that he believes, based on what he's heard, that Roschon is going to get a good opportunity here to kind of rebuild his stock this season. Ryan Poles is kind of thrown out there. He didn't think Roschon was properly used last year in that offense. So I think they're still trying to squeeze something out of him this year and moving forward. So it sounds like it'll be his spot to lose, is that number 2 punch and the 1-2 punch with DeAndre Swift, but that remains to be seen. All right, the Sam linebacker competition, that LB3 role after Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, is rookie 4th-round pick Ruben Hippolyte, the guy to take that job. Noah Sewell, there's been some positive reports out of him. Sounds like his body has transformed a little bit. He's a little leaner, more ripped. He's been a little bulkier the last couple of years, so we know they're looking for speed at that position. Dennis Allen, if you watch 1920 Football Drive, raved about Hippolyte's speed. I think kind of like the Trapilo situation, they would like Hippolyte to take the job because they just drafted this guy. They're high on his athletic profile. Again, you get the 4-year rookie contract window where you could get cheap labor at that linebacker spot. Now, we'll see what the reps look like this week as well, because TJ Edwards was dealing with the soft tissue injury last week. Unclear if he'll be out there this week, but that Sam linebacker position is probably, if you consider that a starting role, which it really isn't because they play a nickel, but 12th defensive starter, if you will. It's probably the realest, other than left tackle on offense, like competition on the team. Like, we know who the 2 starting safeties are. We know who at least the top 2 receivers are. We know who the top 2 tight ends are. We know who left guard through right tackle is. We know kind of what the defensive line rotation looks like, although defensive tackle could get wonky. But that 3rd linebacker job is very much up for grabs. Is it Hippolyte? Could it be Ahmed Agbagbamiga? Is it a free agent? I think that's still in the cards potentially if no one kind of runs away with this thing between now and training camp. So definitely keeping an eye on that. And then something that, I didn't really think would be on my radar, but it sounds like it's a real thing, is this backup quarterback competition. I think it's real. I think, it's at least a small piece of why Case Keenum considered coming here. Although I think the big reason was just, him and Ben Johnson had a good conversation. He's been in this role in Houston the last couple of years, mentoring C.J. Stroud. But it sounds like, by all accounts, Keenum looked better than Bagent at OTAs. Now, that shouldn't be that surprising. Case Keenum's been in this league a long time. I would trust him to pick up a new offense better than Tyson Bagent and, quite frankly, Caleb Williams. So I'm not shocked that reports out of OTAs are, Case Keenum looks pretty good out there. Yeah, he's played like 15 years. he kind of knows what this looks like, what to do. He's been in a lot of different systems. So I'm not surprised by that, especially in T-shirts and shorts. But, I think this is a real thing. I don't think Bagent's just going to be given the job. Now, do I think Tyson's going to be the backup? Probably, but this matters because if Caleb Williams were to go down, if Case Keenum outplays Tyson Bagent, then he would get the first crack at stepping into the game. Both guys are going to make the 53, barring something surprising, but I do think this is a real backup QB competition, and I got no problem with that. Like, I like Tyson Bagent, but I mean, should we just give him the backup QB job like they did last year? Probably not. Okay, what is the number one thing that you want to see, that you're watching for at Bears minicamp, that you want me to talk about? Let me know in the comment section below, because we'll have full coverage all week long, reacting to everything we're seeing, we're hearing from Hall, as it should be a competitive 3 days out there. We'll start with our coverage on Tuesday all the way through Thursday and even on into Friday. So be sure to stay tuned for that. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.
Bang, bang. Refrigerator will probably throw your super chat in the next mailbag coming up, but we appreciate it. But yeah, what's the number one thing you guys want to see at minicamp? Benny J creating trick plays. I mean, that's going to be a fun one for sure. I don't know if we'll actually see that, but
yeah, I would imagine you're not going to hear much about any. Like they're still just in the fundamentals install phase. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised, Colin, if like this year, like there will be a few. I don't think you're going to see the number you saw last year in Detroit. Remember, that's the third year of the offense. Like you got to master the offense and the basics first. So like, yeah, I don't think – like it felt like last year he had like one almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I doubt that'll be the case this year. I think you'll see 5 or 6 throughout the season.
Yeah. Galaxy brain thought that I just thought of. Do offensive coordinators that are interested in a job whenever they play said team run a specific trick play being like, hey, I'm interested? Like Ben Johnson ran last year against the Bears.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, he did kind of acknowledge in his introductory presser, someone asked him about like, hey, yeah, I was, sending a little message.
Yeah, just a little one. Nothing crazy, but just
he's a confident guy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Kite is saying that the coaches aren't letting anything slip. Always a good thing to see. Caleb hooking up with the wide receiver and tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm just more interested in the offense. Like, how does Caleb look? What do the receivers look like? Who's getting more reps at left tackle? You know, the reps are what they are. There's no pad, so like I don't think we're gonna like come to some determination that one guy is a dominant player and one isn't. But I think who gets more reps is telling. I mean, there's 3 days. You would think one guy is gonna get the first team reps for at least 2 of the days. I don't think they're gonna do one day, and then some random guy gets the third.
Right.
So. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I guess the other option they could do is they could just split reps each day to kind of keep people on their toes. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, one more mailbag to go, then we are out of here. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get those questions in.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got caught reading a tweet here.
No, you're good.
You got any questions about the Bears? Fire away. Reason we're doing 2 mailbags today is we will not be live Thursday. I'm on a half-day Thursday, so I am taking the weekend off. Little quick beach trip, and then we'll be back in the studio. But we'll be sure to cover off and put a wrap on mandatory minicamp, whether it's in studio Thursday before I leave or Friday from the beach. Just don't know when the practices will wrap up yet. We'll have a better idea tomorrow. But going to Charles Barkley's favorite city.
Exactly.
Galveston.
Well, second favorite behind San Antonio.
Yeah, true. True. All right. Let's get to this mailbag. Fire away, and we'll put a wrap on this show. Ah, yes, the Hippo Hive. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. Mailbag time. My name is Harrison Graham. Hippo Hive asks, is Kevin Byard or Jaquan Brisker more likely to return in 2026? It's a good question. I mean, you would hope Jaquan Brisker, right? Young, in theory, still ascending player. He's an emotional player. You drafted him in the second round. If he has a healthy year this year, I would be more than happy to bring him back, at least on a 1 or 2 year contract with an opt-out after the first year. I don't know if there's anything he could do where you'd give him a super long-term deal given his concussion history. But if he's mostly healthy this year and they want to bring him back on a 1 or 2 year deal, I'd be open to that. Kevin Byard, I think, and he acknowledged this at OTAs, he's year to year. He was asked if there's been extension talks. He said no, but I'm at a point where I'm year to year anyway. So I think he's open to coming back. But, he'll wake up one day and might just be like, I'm just done. So, I think that one could go either way. If he's as good as last year where he's still solid, I could see him coming back for, $5-6 million bucks. If he falls off, kind of has that age deal, then he probably won't be back. Could he sign elsewhere if someone else offers more money? That's on the table too. But I think there's a scenario where both are back. I think there's a scenario where neither are back. The more likely scenario is probably one of them is back. Hopefully that's Brisker. Nothing against Byard, but he's just an older player. But time will tell. What do you guys think? Who is more likely to return? If you think it's Kevin Byard, type KB. Jaquan Brisker, type JB. I'm hoping Brisker, hell, if they want to bring both back, if they both have good years, that'd be fine with me as well. Refrigerator Repair, appreciate the 5. My friend, will they perfect the Doug Kramer fullback play in training camp? If they don't, then they better not run it like Shane Waldron did. Kramer's an interesting player. Like, is he safe? Is he on the bubble? Is he on the way outside looking in? I mean, it really comes down to, I think, that role. Like, does Ben Johnson view him as like this team's fullback who can also be a backup interior offensive lineman? If he does, then I would imagine he's on this team. If they don't view him that strongly, if they're like, he can play that fullback role, but it's only a couple snaps a game, we can use that roster spot elsewhere, then he probably wouldn't make the team. So it'll be interesting. I will say, when they re-signed him, the team's Twitter account listed him as a O-line / fullback. So I don't know if that means anything or if that's just based on how they used him last year, but Ben Johnson did say on part of my take he likes fullbacks, so take that for what it's worth. Alex Weddle, rate the Swift-Johnson duo 1 to 10, Gibbs and Monty being a 10. I don't know, 5. Could it go up? Certainly, but Roschon is an unknown at best. Swift is not better than either of the two Detroit backs. I like Swift, but he's not better than Gibbs, certainly. And different player than Montgomery, but I think Monty's more valuable overall. So, yeah, I mean, is it half of that? I mean, you're hoping it's more. It really, to me, it comes down to, like, the second back. Like, can Roschon really establish himself this year? If he can, then, okay, maybe it's like 7.5 out of 10 out of the Gibbs-Monty duo, 8 out of 10. But right now, I'd have to give it like a 5 out of 10. All right, guys, we are a family here on Bears Now. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that watches, whether it's for the first time or whether it's been for the last 5 years. I would appreciate it if you subscribed. It's 100% free. We don't charge a dime. Free daily Bears content, interactions with all of you. Hit that sub button. Josue, do you think we can go from worst to first like we did in 2018? I absolutely. I think division's wide open. It's a tough division, but I think it's possible. I think this team's talented enough where they should have that mindset. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean it's the most likely scenario to happen, but can they? Absolutely. Whereas other teams who finished last place last year, going into this year, they objectively have no chance. The Saints are not going to go from worst to first. And that's in a bad division. It's just not going to happen. Could the Bears do it, though? Yeah. The Raiders, probably not going to happen in the AFC West just because they're not going to be better than the Chiefs or probably even the Chargers. So I think it's possible. It's probably not likely, but out of all the teams that could do it, they certainly have a pretty good chance. Adam TV, which division is the hardest besides the NFC North in your opinion? I think now it's probably the AFC West because the Raiders are the worst team there, but Pete Carroll's a competent coach. John Spytek's a good GM. Geno Smith can play. They should be able to run the ball with Genty. The defense, if Crosby is healthy, should at least be average. Bowers is a stud. So they got some dudes. The Chargers and Broncos, they're only going to improve moving forward. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. So I'd probably say that one. I mean, you can't ever count out the AFC North, but I'm kind of down on Pittsburgh this year, and I think Cleveland's at least a year away. The other one is the NFC East. I don't think the Giants are that good, but the other three I think are all pretty good. Obviously, Philly's going to be really good. Washington should be pretty good still. And when Dak's healthy, Dallas wins more than 60% of its games. So, I'd say NFC East, AFC West. Those are probably the two other divisions, I would say, along with the NFC North, are the three best in the league. Okay, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. You know, ball, you want to put your money where your mouth is. There's only one series left in the playoffs, and the championship is officially on the line. It means you're running out of time to put your final takes to the test with PrizePicks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. This year's basketball playoffs are heading toward crowning a champ for the first time. First-time champ for the first time in more than 50 years. Don't miss your last chance to cash in on history with PrizePicks. And by the way, for a limited time only, you can win up to 2,000 times your money on certain lineups today. Pick more or less on certain stats like points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, turnovers, steals, blocks, combo stats. It's all available. Speaking of those combo stats, how about points, rebounds, and assists for SGA and Halliburton? I'm going to take the more on SGA in Game 1, less on Halliburton in Game 1. Give me the more on Pascal Siakam's points in Game 1 as well. A little 5X entry here, so 10 to win 50, 20 to win 100, etc. Again, if you want to swing big, you can do those 2,000X entries, and you can figure out what those are once you download the PrizePicks app at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you sign up and just play for $5. Doesn't matter if you win or lose that $5 lineup, you're going to get that $50 bonus for free. How about this with PrizePicks? They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and much more for free and easy, or not free, quick and easy deposits into your account 24/7, 365. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Get started today. Ah, yes. JF1 is goated. They're always out there somewhere, Colin. If there was one person to add to this team, who would it be? I know who you're going with. You talking about current player all time? If it's current and I'd probably say Trey Hendrickson, but a more reasonable, I'd probably say Zadarius Smith. I want to get another pass rusher on this team. I think Smith is the guy to do it. He's been a consistent performer in his career. He knows this division well. He'd probably be the guy for me. DC Viper, do you think CB2 is open, or do you think Stevenson maintains his spot? Well, the answer to both those questions could be yes. I do think it's open, and I do think he maintains his spot. I don't think there's many positions that aren't up for grabs. I mean, Ben Johnson said there's no depth chart. Now, that's a little bit of that is coach speak. Like, Montez Sweat is going to start for this team. Why? Because he makes $25 million per year, and who the hell is going to start over him? Austin Booker? I doubt it. CB2, though, Tyreek Stevenson, while he was a second-round pick and while he's had some really good moments, he's also had some bad moments. He's been inconsistent. I don't think he's just going to get the job, right? Terrell Smith has pushed him. Zay Frazier is an intriguing rookie. So, yeah, I think Tyreek's going to have to perform, but I also think he's going to answer the bell. I've been pretty high on him this offseason. I think the Al Harris hire for him is absolutely massive. So the answer to both those is yes. I think it's open, but I also think Tyreek ends up maintaining his spot. Are you guys going to a Bears game this year? Type Y for yes and for no. And if you are, let me know in the comments or DM me at HGramNFL which game you're going to. Would love to know where Bears Now is going to be representing. Okay, John Elia, do we have the best center in the North now? Who's the Packers center now? Let me see. For sure better than Detroit because it's just a complete unknown. The Packers lost Josh Myers. Oh, they're playing Elton Jenkins at center. He's a pretty good player now. But he's played guard, tackle. So you'd probably give Dalman the edge as just the pure center. And then Minnesota, they signed Ryan Kelly, good player, but Dalman was the more sought-after free agent. So, yeah, probably. If not him, Jenkins. So, yeah, you've gone from not having a good center in years to probably the best in the division. Pretty dope. Pashi, is this Tremaine Edmonds last year with the Bears? If he doesn't take a step forward, yes. He's been an average player through 2 years, and he's making $17, $18 million per year. That's what really good linebackers make. So, he doesn't have to be an all-pro, but he has to play better. If he doesn't, he's a easy cut candidate / trade candidate if a team wants him. So, I would say it's 50-50 because I do think there's a scenario where he plays better in this scheme, that this scheme will fit him better. But I also think that we've seen 2 years of Tremaine Edmonds, and he's kind of just been okay, especially considering what he makes. All right, appreciate all of your questions. You can continue to ask them via social media at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram. You know where to find me by now. If you don't, those are the handles at HGramNFL. Both platforms, DMs are wide open. Down to talk Bears football and much more. Bear down. All righty. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. Mark says he's going to Bears Raiders in Vegas. It's always fun to go to a game in Vegas. Bears will take over that state.
Yeah, I went to a soccer match at Allegiant Stadium. It's a really nice stadium.
Did you like it?
Yeah, that was a really nice stadium.
I need to get out there. Appreciate it, Kiddus. Shout out Scott. We're ready to. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Again, no live show Thursday, but we'll have content all week long on the channel, so make sure you're locked in. Have those noties turned on so you don't miss an episode. Tomorrow is the first day of mandatory minicamp, so we will have that covered. We'll get to Andres's super chat here before we get out and call it a day. Andres is just curious, but what team that's gotten a lot of hype this offseason do you think is being highly overrated? For me, it's probably the Patriots. That's a decent call. I mean, I do like what they're doing overall, although this Diggs thing is kind of a mess. But I like the Vrabel hire, but that's not a bad call. I wouldn't say them just because I think that division kind of stinks. So I probably would have them finishing second in that division. I think they leapfrog Miami and the Jets. I'll give you one. Cincinnati.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of people pick them to win the division. Number one, your only stud defensive player hates you right now. And by the way, even if you make that work, that's still not an improvement. Like, he was already on the team, and they got so much praise for getting Chase and Higgins done. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, you should pay those guys, but it's like, you already had them. So, like, where's the improvement coming from? Like, I get last year they finished strong, but do you feel like they made any major upgrades where all of a sudden they're a 13-win team? I don't. I mean, I think they're probably a playoff team if they start better in September, but I don't view them as a Super Bowl contender. That defense just isn't good enough.
They have number 9. That's why they get all the hype. And they will throughout the rest. But yeah, their defense.
And Burrow's unbelievable. I mean, last year, if they make the playoffs, I think he wins MVP. I thought he had a better regular season than Allen Lamar, but that would be one for me.
I will say, the more I look at it, San Francisco seems to be a team that's getting a little more kind of hype than they should be getting.
They're benefiting from a bad schedule.
Yes, they will. And they're going to win some games, don't get me wrong, but yeah. I've seen them as, and again, I said that they have kind of like a long shot potential chance to win the, like, I've seen a lot of people just come back on the train.
They're the betting favorite to win the West.
Yeah, that's gross.
That's ridiculous.
That should not be that.
It should be the Rams.
It should be the Rams. I get that they drafted a lot of players on the defensive line that are all rookies outside of Nick Bosa. Ricky Pearsall's injured again. He's got another, I think it was like a soft tissue issue. To be honest, I'll throw out another one, and one guy in our office probably won't like it. I'm not sure how I feel about the Texans.
I don't know if they're getting a ton of hype.
Right.
Like, I don't know if but in terms of like team that people just assume is going to be good, I hear you. I think they'll win that. They kind of feel like what they've been. They'll win that division because it stinks, and they're pretty good, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender.
That division, like, if you're telling me, like, hey, one team that could win a division be a surprise, like something out of Indy, Tennessee, and Jacksonville, like, could surprise in that division.
Yeah.
Because, again, like,
I hate what the Texans did with their O-line.
Yeah, which is essentially, like, nothing outside of, okay, they drafted a tackle, Ariante Ursary, who, again, we liked going into the draft.
Yeah. He's not going to be better than Tunsil, though, at least not right away.
And they basically took a one-year flyer on, the kid from Minnesota, Robinson.
Yeah, Cam Robinson. He's fine. I mean, those are two decent options, but they're objective downgrades, and you also didn't get better on your interior, which was awful last year.
Yeah, which is like the main reason why C.J. Stroud, who, again, really relies on being able to set his feet and drive the ball downfield in the pocket. I mean, yeah, it's not looking great in Houston.
No.
TJ says Colts and Arizona are my sleeper teams.
I just can't. Like, I don't know. The Colts, I just don't like that QB situation. I mean, Richardson's intriguing, but I don't know. We kind of have this ongoing bit in the office with Richardson, me and our guy Seeps, but like, I don't actually think he's good. And then the Cardinals, I do think is intriguing. Partially because that division feels open, and also I think they've added some good talent the last few years. I like Austin Fort, their GM. This is a big year for Kyler, I feel like. I think he is, like, if you had to rank quarterbacks under the most pressure this year, I think he's in the top 5 or 6.
It's up there. For
like,
sure.
If it goes sideways this year, if it's kind of just more the same, they win like 8 games and he's just up and down, like, I could see Arizona trying to pivot because I don't think he's going to age that well. Like, at 35, is he an upper tier NFL starter? I mean, I guess it's possible, but you know, the bigger guys that are athletic and run around, well, when that goes away, at least they're big and they can deliver from the pocket. He can't do that consistently because he's too short. So
yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of test because, I mean, again, his athleticism is unlike really anything we've kind of ever seen because at his size, the speed and the acceleration that he has moving laterally and moving downfield, it's
changing
just
direction. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think he'll just like his athleticism. I think it'll be like a slow I don't think like one year he's going to be dynamic and the next he's going to be off a cliff. But like, I think from like 32 to 35, 36, you're going to see that like, ooh, like he doesn't move like he used to.
Yeah.
So,
and him as a player, I mean, he's capable of hitting the home run ball. I mean, the amount of just scramble drill runs that he's had in his career is crazy. And I mean,
he's got a big arm for being a small guy. He's got a big arm. So, I just think it's a big year for him because he's been inconsistent.
He does.
He's very capable, but yeah, he's a player to watch. All right. Oh, by the way, one team who I just think they're not getting hyped, but I think they could just be horrible is Miami. I mean, I almost like have a new respect for Tua because when he's out, they're like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
They were horrible without him last year. So if he gets banged up, I mean, I think you're talking about top 3.
The discourse with Tua is one of the more interesting things I've seen in sports because, I mean, there's legit people calling him elite. You know, was he in the MVP conversation, like all this other stuff. And again, he performed well at times.
Did he go from being overrated to underrated last year?
Potentially. That's what I'm saying. Like
overrated, it's like, why would you pay him this? Which I'm still in that camp given the injuries, but underrated in the sense of they can't function without him.
Yeah, they literally haven't figured out the backup quarterback position at all.
It was ugly last year when he didn't play.
And who did they fill that with
Zach
this year?
Wilson and Quinn Ewers, baby.
Oh yeah. Like I said, Bears fans,
they're gonna be a fun preseason team with those two guys.
Yeah, they will be. Bears fans, it could always be worse.
Oh, always. All right, we're out of here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to Colin for producing. See you guys soon. Bear down.